You want to put some kind of explanation? We've been punished by the Creator. He visited a curse on us.
It's thought-provoking in some areas, but in Day of the Dead, the characters seem really unlikable.
I'm ready to take the next train out of here.
I ask you again, Captain. Where will you go?
They are bitter, jaded, and just full of distrust. The world they inhabit has decayed beyond hope, leaving them broken and paranoid. In Dawn of the Dead, it's an opposite story. We meet characters who we can attach to, understand, and ultimately we root for, especially at the end. We see them struggle with their humanity, but they're fighting to hold on the last remnants of what it means to be normal. You can even see, just from the layout, they try to find quote-unquote home. Day of the Dead, however, offers just no such hope. Humanity is all but gone, and even the background, it's hard to relate to. So with all this, it already sounds a little negative and a point towards Dawn of the Dead. So why am I saying Day of the Dead is better? Let me start with a story that is 16 years ago when I was sick over the summer and I went into like an old video store and I saw this movie. I remember telling my dad I had wanted it. I don't know why we never got it. And I saw its sequel next to it, Contagion, which is like a cheap ripoff, but the box covered was just gripping for me. I was not feeling well when I went home. My mind was wandering into this pure world of paranoia and lost characters. Even rewatching this, it still sticks with me. So I have done is broken down this into 3 core concepts on what has made it into a cult classic. So number 1, a more realistic apocalypse. Unlike Dawn of the Dead, where our protagonist finds safety in a shopping mall, and remember, I just want to highlight this is the original Dawn of the Dead, not the remake. And same thing for, of course, Day of the Dead, which we don't want to talk about that one. But in this more realistic apocalypse, it strips away any sense of comfort. The survivors are trapped in an underground military bunker, tensions are high, and the world outside is completely overrun. This isn't a fantasy of surviving in a consumerist wonderland. It's survival in the worst possible conditions with people you just cannot stand. The characters aren't struggling against zombies, they're really struggling against one another. And in a real apocalypse, that's likely the biggest threat. The breakdown of civilization isn't just about monsters, it's about the collapse of trust, communication, and cooperation. Which leads to the next point, too, which I think Day of the Dead deserves way more credit for, is the evolution of the zombie. We see this a lot more in most modern day zombie films that try to take it to the next level. George Romero took a major step with Day of the Dead with the introduction of Bub, the first truly intelligent zombie, I think quite literally in cinema history. While Dawn of the Dead depicted the undead as mindless consumers, Day suggested something more unsettling, the potential for zombies to learn. Bub's ability to recognize objects, show emotion, and even use a gun changes that dynamic. Rather than just being a threat, zombies in Day of the Dead represent a possible future. Something that's really scary, something that we may have to live with. I know Walking Dead has also done something like this. Essentially a new dominant species taking over the world, something that is just your day-to-day. Hey look, another zombie. The film raises a terrifying question, what if we aren't just fighting to survive, but keep from being replaced? It's just a fascinating and scary thought, which is why we also see in other movies regarding zombies that have come out later, where they kind of hit on the subject. And it feels like they go insane by just accepting it. Which leads to number 3, a darker, more psychological horror. Where Dawn of the Dead balances horror with fun moments and adventure, such as pie to the face, Day of the Dead is pure tension and paranoia. They never really let up on that. The film is more psychological, exploring the impact of prolonged survival in a world with no hope. The humans' villains, particularly with Captain Rhodes, are some of the most unhinged and terrifying in the series. It's why I say they're unlikable, but because they're so unlikable, when you come back to it, you realize what really is happening. Unlike Dawn, where the characters find camaraderie, they learn to live with each other, they almost consider themselves family, Day represents a world where survival has brought the worst out in everyone. That's kind of the more reality of what we would see. The fear isn't just about being eaten by zombies, but being betrayed, abandoned, or killed by those who are supposed to be on your side. So these are some final thoughts that I leave with you. While this is not the longest video essay, and we're still improving on our format and trying to get better at it, while Dawn of the Dead is often praised for its balance of horror, action, and social commentary, this is where Day of the Dead goes deeper. I think anybody who's a fan of Dawn of the Dead, over the course of years when you watch Day of the Dead, you become a bigger fan of Day of the Dead as you become a more zombie film fanatic. It represents a harsher, more realistic vision of the end of the world. It challenges us on really with unlikable characters, unsettling ideas, like we had mentioned, and a grim tone that lingers long after the credits roll. Especially that song. That song at the very end is so upbeat. And it's probably one of the first things that really is upbeat, but it's also extremely ominous knowing what they're getting themselves into. That's why Day of the Dead just isn't a great zombie film, but it's arguably one of the best of Romero's trilogy and some of his best drama that he has ever created on screen. Because trust me, I've seen a lot of his other works, and nothing holds a candle to just how he was writing these characters, and even though they're purely unlikable, he's hitting on some very important points. What do you think? At the end of the Day of the Dead deserves more recognition. I mean, it's up down to the people commenting. This film has been out a really long time, and it's exciting because we're still talking about it today. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys all in the next one.